Hello everybody, with this video I'm continue to translate and to publish to cover what Russian military bloggers are saying about the current state of Russian army. Naturally, I will cover mostly negative articles from them because positive articles we can safely dismiss as propaganda because we cannot know if what they're saying is true or if it is just propaganda. Negative articles, negative news, negative opinions might be more truthful because they have no incentive to publish it. They actually, Russian Ministry of Defense actually actively discourage this. And also there are some, they might be the object of military Z bloggers, might be the object of criminal prosecution for discrediting Russian army. So when they are publishing something negative about Russian army, it means most possible that the problem is real and problem is so painful that it is impossible to ignore it anymore. And also note that they are quite often refer to the Russian army as to the army of Laos. It is quite feeble attempt to avoid this criminal prosecution. Saying what we said, it was not about Russian army. It was about some hypothetical army of Laos. So there is a very well-known Russian Telegram channel, Fighterbomber, who is covering mostly things that are concerned with Russian Aerospace forces, VKS, Военно-космические силы of Russia, Russian Aerospace forces. So I think he is retired pilot or somebody from this field, some military man from Air Force retired now. I'm not sure if he was actually a pilot or not. And his concern is that, there are glide bombs which give quite a lot of advantage to the Russian side, and they are falling, but mostly not where they're supposed to, and absolutely nothing can be done about it. So there is then further, it is a translation of what he was writing about this topic, about the topic of ineffective glide bombs. Okay. The era of the divine UMPKs, UMPK is just abbreviation for Universal Glide Bomb Kit. So there is a kit, you take dump bomb, and then you attach this kit to it, and then it becomes a smart precision weapon, more or less precision. Okay, the era of divine UMPK turned out to be short-lived. In fact, I warned long ago, years before the special military operation, that Ukraine would eventually find a way to counter UMPKs and that we need to stay ahead of the curve. No doubt, UMPKs played a massive role and literally saved the VKS from enormous losses. What he is saying there, that because it is a glide bomb and can be thrown or launched from the distance of about 50 to 70 kilometers from the actual target. So, and there is no need to be directly over target, which can be covered by some air defense. You are throwing this bomb from outside of the, this envelope of air defense that might be protecting your target. So you're not going too close to target, too close to danger, and because of that, he's saying this guy who is very knowledgeable. He's the enemy. He is a bad guy. He is a fascist or whatever you can call him. But nonetheless, this guy is knowledgeable and he gives quite often, especially when it is negative, he gives quite often valuable information. Now he is saying that those glide bombs, who are real problem for our forces are no longer effective. No doubt, UMPKs played a massive role and literally saved the VKS from enormous losses. But nothing lasts forever under the moon, and people, being creatures that desperately want to survive, will do whatever it takes to do so. Those who actually care at all levels and ranks sounded the alarm a long time ago, but in keeping with the ancient tradition of Laos, you see, Laos, no one gives a damn about those alarms. The bombs keep flying, planned targets are being hit, everyone is busy, the numbers of slides look, the numbers on slides look prettier, meaning the numbers in the PowerPoint, in the slides from PowerPoint presentations that are, reported to the superiors. So he's practically saying that this problem that glide bombs are not hitting the targets is being ignored at the very moment by the Russian high command. So because the bombs keep flying, planned targets are being hit in in quotes, meaning that they are not being hit, they are just reported to be hit. Everyone is busy, the numbers on slides look prettier, the reports show increasing numbers of sorties and destroyed targets, destroyed again in quotes. So much so that those presenting them start reading with trembling voices and shedding a single proud tear. So again, he is criticizing that the widespread tradition of in Russian army, and actually we have it unfortunately in our Ukrainian army, of reporting only the good news to your higher ups. But there is the catch, they are not actually hitting their targets. So sorties, quite a lot of sorties, quite a lot of bombs are launched or dropped, but the problem is they are not actually hitting their targets. All satellite-based guidance systems are effectively useless now. Both our own electronic warfare specialists and of course the Ukrainians have mastered portable and mobile electronic warfare stations, saturating the entire front line on both sides. This has rendered the correction of all satellite-guided munitions, not just UMPKs, completely ineffective. Just like radio-controlled drones are slowly becoming obsolete. So he's saying that because of the really dense electronic warfare stations and saturation the front line of this equipment, all these satellite guided munitions, including unfortunately HIMARS, if you are trying to hit something with these satellite guided munitions, something on the front line, you will probably most likely fail because it will be somehow deceived by these electronic warfare stations. But sure, against large area targets like factories, plants and cities, a single UMPK will probably hit. But there are no such targets on the front line. Yes, we could change tactics and use 8 or even 16 UMPKs per target in hopes that one of them lands on the mark due to the error accumulation. This old school approach, volley bombing, was once the standard for all bombers. So when there were no method to correct in the era of dumb bombs, dumb free fall bombs, when you just saturate the area with quite a lot number of bombs in hopes that because there are so many of them, some of them might actually land on the target. Now everybody is spoiled with the precision weapons, and it is not such volley volley bombing or just carpet bombing, you can call them, is not used anymore. But then we have to admit in reports that out of 16 targets, only one was actually destroyed. And who won this? Well, you get the idea. So then if they try to hit one target with, for example, 8 or 16 bombs, and then they will have their measurements, or how to say, okay, they will have reports that they are sending to their higher-ups not that pretty. They will not that pretty, and they don't want to report that. So they are just throwing away actually these bombs. The electronic warfare situation deep behind enemy lines isn't much better, but at least there are some areas where munitions can adjust their flight path, and in some spots below 50 meters altitude, the signal is still available. That makes long-range munitions relying on satellite correction slightly more effective, but not by much, because all high-value targets are covered by electronic warfare as a priority. At that point, accuracy depends on how far the munition drifts off targets without guidance. So, for example, if or if, for example, Russians drop this glide bomb, but not on target at the front line, but somewhere behind the lines, there is a better chance that it will find a spot that is not covered by electronic warfare, and when it gets satellite signal, it can understand exactly where it is and correct the path. But it is it can be more effective to fire behind the enemy lines, but mostly the high value targets, they are still covered by electronic warfare, and it will be ineffective. I can say from my own experience that, for example, when we have air raid here and some Shahed drones which are relying on satellite navigation, satellite signal for navigation, when we have this air raid alarms, GPS is useless. I was driving from nearby city when there was air raid, and GPS just told me that no signal, and sometimes it was able to get signal, but it was pointing that I am not actually on the road where I was driving, but somewhere on some back roads, on some side roads, and it was trying to correct me to put me back again, so giving me completely false information where should I turn or whatever. So this is even in so far away from the front line where I am. Still, we have electronic warfare during air raids. It is provided by our local security forces. So, and at that point, accuracy depends on how far the munition drifts off target. Oh, and let me stress again, this is all happening in Laos, so meaning not in Russian army. Everything is perfectly fine here. The enemy has no electronic warfare. If a UMPK or missile missed its target, it's only the pilot's fault. Every single bomb and missile hits its target. Just ask any officer from general rank and up, they will never lie to you. So, of course, the last part, it was just really, really heavy dose of sarcasm. Okay, this is really really good news, good piece of news, and because most of the big part of the success that Russians had on the battlefield were the use of these glide bombs. if they can saturate the front line with glide bombs, more or less precise, then even if troops are inside some fortifications, these fortifications won't last long, because if you can drop on top of these fortifications 200, 500, 1500 kilogram bombs, I mean, people inside will not be happy. And you can destroy them eventually, and you can then overpower them or overflow these defenses. And people there will have to go back. But if now we found the countermeasure for that, and they will not be able to do it as much as they did, well, it's really, really good news. Our guys will have it much better on the front line. And this was from Fighterbomber, but I would like to tell you one more. There is different from this different mill blogger. His name is Philolog Zasadi, which can be translated as philologist in ambush, and he is what he is writing. It is hardly fair to say that we jinxed them. It's just that the enemy has found and to significant extent scaled up a countermeasure. I have personally heard direct confirmations from people working on the ground in at least two related areas that the enemy is quite successfully suppressing the guidance system of UMPK, Unified Module of Gliding and Correction. As a result, even with the increase in the numbers of air sorties, the effectiveness of airstrikes is showing a steady decline. This is especially true given the lack of massed strikes on specific targets, meaning that they are going to use one or two bombs on one target and not saturated them like previously with dump bombs. The principle of one or two FABs per target is no longer working. FABs are ending up in open fields. So we have confirmation from two mill bloggers that probably those glide bombs are not that effective anymore. And this really, really good news. So thank you for watching. Have a nice day, and Slava Ukraini!